Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. This is Alice with Sage Leaf Studio. It's really cold outside, so it's a good day to be inside. And I wanted to apologize in advance for any lighting issues. I do have not my window open, but my blinds open because there's a bird feeder outside of my window, and I'm enjoying watching them work over the bird feeder, the birds. Actually, there's a poor little, well, he's not little. And the problem is he's big, but there's a pigeon or a dove, as we like to call him out here in the country, I guess. And he really wants to get on this bird feeder, but it's really not made for him. He's too big. I'll throw a picture of, he's waiting on the, um, on the windowsill on the outside. What do you call that part? Anyway, he's waiting to see how, because he's already kind of been up there on the feeder and it's not been going well for him because he's just too big. So he's just kind of hanging out there waiting. But there's a lot of others, cardinals and different birds coming to visit us. They're very busy because it's so cold outside. It's about, I don't know, it's like 11 degrees out there or something. And the wind chill factor is worse. So I think everybody, almost everybody from here east is having the same kind of weather situation. So it's certainly not anything new. And so I was just going to say that I was digging around. I was actually putting away a bunch of Valentine's decorations and different things, even though we're still in January. But I don't know, I was getting kind of tired of doing Valentine's-y stuff. I can put links to, well, I guess I did a short, and I could put a link to that in the description on this video, and you can have a look. But I've made a bunch of different things, Valentine's-y looking things, and I was putting my stuff away, and then I remembered that I had this bag, and I didn't even know why it was in there, because why isn't it in with my gift bags? But then I did remember that the reason it got uh, exiled from all of that is because there's something wrong with it. First of all, it only had one handle, and I know that these are some bags that I bought, I don't know, maybe the dollar store somewhere, where it was 2 or 3 bags in a bundle, and I guess this one just was weird. And so it only had, see, I think it was supposed to have, but anyway, it had the handle right here, and that was it. So I cut it away thinking, and I might still use that, but I was thinking this would make a great journal, of course, because I love making journals out of bags. And also, and I didn't do this, I would, but it's actually already, it was stuck together right there. I could probably pull it apart. I might tear it though, but that's fine because I'm actually going to do some more gluing to kind of shore it up and make it proper for a journal. But anyway, there was just something wrong with this bag from the get-go. So I thought, well, what better use than to turn it into a journal? And I don't know what for. Maybe to keep your Valentine's in, or your stationery for Valentine's, or I don't know. I just thought it was cute. And so it's got this situation going on, and I didn't do any of that, but I did look through here and decide that I wanted to cut. I mean, I can already use this as a tuck, but then I thought, well, I could also use this as a tuck. So I need to do some gluing in here. Um, and that way I can make it a really good, there you go, proper envelope situation for, putting something in there. I don't know yet. Who knows what it's going to be? And then I had this paper that I just stained yesterday. This was an experiment. I had some cut down copy paper, and I had some, sorry, I'm being noisy. Somebody gave me an amaryllis for Christmas, and it's just finishing blooming. There was one bloom left on it, and when I went to pull it off just with my hand, I noticed how much it stained my fingers, with red, kind of a deep red. It's a red amaryllis. And I thought, oh, maybe that would be good to dye some paper with. Well, it was just the one bloom, but anyway, I put it in boiling water, and the water was really pretty. It was a very light pinky rose color. And so I poured it up in a pan, and I put these offcuts um, that I had in there. I think I've got 8 sheets. Is it 8? 2, 4, 6, 7? No, I think I had 8. Hang on, we're going to find out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I thought I had 8. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But that's how many I had, and I put them in there, and they didn't really, I mean, you can tell they're not stark white anymore, but they're certainly not the pink I was thinking that they would, you know, come out looking like, kind of like, well, I knew they wouldn't be as dark as, let me see if I've got some, hang on, I'm going to find it. Here, the avocado stained paper, like right here. See the difference there? It's very different. Oh gosh, the light keeps changing because it can't decide if it's going to be sunny or not. So we've got some sunlight going on here. But again, I'm not shutting the blind. So anyway, but this is kind of pretty. So maybe I'll use a piece of this in there too to make up for the piece that I thought I had. Anyway, but just kind of thinking of pinks and, you know, reds and whites and whatever. I don't know. So I'm going to work on gluing this up and getting the structure or the base together the way I want it. And I guess I could go ahead and sew in my signature and decide on what kinds of things I'm going to tuck in here and figure out what kind of closure I'm going to do. Anyway, but I'm going to bring you along with me to a degree, and you can check it out and decide if you have a cruddy bag you want to do something with. I don't know. Anyway, we're going to see how it goes. And yeah. Okay, I found these pieces of cardstock craft paper. They're nice and thick, and I want, I think, several of them so I have a sturdy base. They already had holes cut in them. I don't know. I guess I was using them for some sort of embellishment, but I think they'll work well. And then I found this. I had a little, you know, one of those little coupons, and it's just barely the right size, but to have it be a 1-inch. Was a 1-inch circle punch. So I'm going to use that, but I didn't want, because I'm going to use a brad, and I didn't want a hole as big as these. This is fine for these, but I have this other smaller hole punch that will do a smaller hole. So if I can get it in the center-ish, I think that'll work. And that way, yeah, see, it's a lot different than how big that is compared to that. So I'll put that there. And my brad's going to open that up just a little bit, but I didn't want it so big that it would be flailing around in there. So anyway, so I'm going to glue all these together and get them inked. But then I'm thinking, okay, if I put it here, what if I'm going to embellish this? And I really don't want to like cover that up or have to deal with trying to get underneath it. So I think I'm going to look around and see what I have to decorate my front of my book before I attach this guy. So I'm going to work on digging around in my stuff, which is always can be painful to watch on a video. So I will be back with things. Okay, the dove finally left and went on his way. I don't know if you can really see those guys very well, but they are very busy working that feeder over, and I don't know what they did to that feeder. It might have been when the dove was trying to get on it and kind of got it askew. Anyway, so I think I've got a pretty good smattering. Sorry that my desk is kind of messy. I have a pretty good smattering of stuff that I think I can use on the cover here. So I've got, I don't know where I got this card from, but I was playing around with a punch that I got, and I think I've only ever had the front cover of the card. So I don't know. But anyway, I thought it was kind of pretty. So I'm trying to kind of stay in a red-ish theme. I've got a lot of pink stuff. I do have some red stuff, but that's kind of the direction I wanted to go since the book itself is red. So I've got this. I think I could use that. I do have one, it's really, really white, but one heart-shaped doily that's white. I've got a bunch that are pink, but they're like really bright pink and kind of large, so they really wouldn't work good here. But this might work for the front cover. I'm thinking maybe this. I don't know if I want to use this or not. Thought about maybe that. I have a whole bunch of little hearts punched out of a bunch of cardstock. It's this stuff. I got it from Ollie's, but I know that it was actually closeout from Joann's. But it's just got a lot of real pretty paper, card-ish, heavy-duty paper. So I've got that. I found these little, they're bunnies, so really maybe it's Easter, but they're book plates, and I think I could use that. I don't know about on the cover. I might use it on the inside where it, says this book belongs to. I may have to cut it down, but thought those were cute. I've always got a bunch of these laying around because, I don't know, it just seemed like green also would go well. There's a little bit of green in this guy right here, if you can see it. There you go. And then I've got, I don't know, those are just tear-offs and stuff. I do have a, I think this is the only one I have left right now, but this is a tea bag from some tea that a friend gave me at Christmas, and it is a really yummy tea. It's hibiscus and rose and just beautiful and makes a beautiful cup of tea. As a matter of fact, I keep the tea leaves, and I dried those and I used them in a recent project, so they're real pretty. So maybe I'll use them here. I don't know. I've still got my handle. I might incorporate that. I've got so much stuff here. I've got these little treat bags. Man, they are thin, but I don't know if that could be used in there somehow. Those are cute little gnomes. I was just trying to find some stuff that had a little more red. This is pretty. It's a card. Maybe I'll just use this on the inside. I think it goes that way. Yeah. And it's just a blank card. I could use that as one of the tucks. And here's another one. And I don't know that it's necessarily Valentine's, but it's pretty. And it's got a lot of roses. It's got a lot of red. It's got a lot of yellow too. I don't know for sure if I'm going to use that. I've got my string. I might put some sort of a verse on there. I've got all these. I've had these forever, and I never use them. So I don't know if that could be incorporated. What else have I got down here? So on the inside, I was messing around, and I have this little, couple of them, Victorian calendars from, I don't know, I forget what year, a while back, and they've got some kind of interesting Victorian artwork, and I thought this was kind of pretty, so I thought maybe it could be part of the signature. So that was actually, this is not the February image. The February image was kind of pink, kind of peachy actually, kind of matched this, which I wasn't that fond of it. So, but I found that and I thought that was pretty cool. And see, it's got greens. Maybe that was for March because those kind of look like, I don't know, are they really? I don't know if they're four-leaf clovers. They're all mixed in with roses. But maybe that was the intent. Anyway, and then I've got my signature. I've got my avocado stained paper, and I didn't want to cut it down, so I just folded it up. And you know what? Maybe this is going to be the center, and this is going to be sewn together, but these are, can be used kind of as a tuck pocket, even though it's open on one side, or I could glue it down. I could glue it or not. I don't know yet. So I've got that, and this is the other side of that calendar page, and it's September. I just, it was stapled together, so I just took it all apart, but I don't care that it says that. But look at this one. This side is also rather pretty and has kind of cool colors and stuff. I don't know if you can see for the glare, but a little guy playing the violin and a little girl playing the little piano, and the cat's looking off. Anyway, so I'm going to get busy on this. Oh yeah, I found some of these. Mostly the things that I have like this have a lot of pink in them, but these few things had some red in them, so I thought, well, maybe they could be used somewhere. So I'm going to mess around with it and see. I've used these recently. Actually, kind of can't stand this bright pink, although it might work here. I don't know. It's pretty bright. But I've actually painted these for the projects that I've had previous to this because they're just so bright. And these are kind of bright too. But I ink them up and they take ink pretty well. And there's my little button. I got it all glued together and inked. And, I'm going to, once I get that, the cover, straightened out, then I'll attach it. And that way we'll have a closure, a little closure situation. So anyway, wish me luck. Okay, so here is what I came up with. I ended up using the little, and I know I said that was bright pink, but that's bright red. That one's pink. Anyway, I ended up using the little wooden hearts to embellish the front. I did use the heart-shaped doily, and I've got one of those little, well, they're stickers, but they're not very sticky. But anyway, it looks like a stamp. And I did put love yourself first. And there's my little, so here's my little closure, my little round guy. And I ended up using this, this card. And so I realize now that I know where I got it from. I have this huge stack. Well, it's not huge, but I have this stack of them that I got, I don't know, in some stuff that I got from somebody somewhere at some point. And look at these. So I don't really understand. I guess it's stationery, and I thought that it was kind of grody looking, but like it's supposed to be that way. I don't know if you can really see, but there's like all this smudge, and it looks like it's cut, but that's just part of it because it's on every piece. You can see those lines. Isn't that weird? I thought it was weird that they, like, I mean, I get it. Sometimes you do it and, we ink stuff and do that on purpose, but it just looks dingy and kind of yucky. And I realized I did have the other side of, I thought it was a card, but it was just the other end of it, which is this with the same stuff going on, these weird lines. And I guess it's supposed to look like, I don't know, like maybe it was a canvas that was painted, has stucco, gesso on it, not stucco, gesso. Anyway, I don't know, but I ended up with all of these, and these are just huge envelopes. They're kind of, let's see, how big are they? They are 9 by 6. So they're basically the same size as like when you have a manila envelope, like a brown mailer that, you get in from. Anyway, I don't know. I was just like, that's just a really weird thing. I didn't realize I had a whole set of them. So anyway, I had that and I used it here. And yeah, so, and I did end up putting this little, gosh, it's glossy, this little book plate here. And I cut it down just a little bit and inked it and whatever. So somebody can put this book belongs to. So I've got the tuck pocket that was created and that's my blue tape that's you can see from, really you can get to it better from down in here. I don't know if you can see that. Anyway, that's the blue tape that is keeping the other side of the brad from getting, tangled up with anything that I put in this pocket. And then there's this tiny pocket, which is just from the flap. So I didn't glue these down, but I did glue these down. So that's glued down. And so then I've got this pocket, and there's where the handle, the one handle was. See, there was supposed to be one here, but it didn't, it wasn't there when I got a hold of it. So anyway, but there's where that one was. And now I'm kind of thinking, I took the handle and I cut it down, and I was thinking, I could put it back on there and it could be kind of like a little purse type thing. But also, what if I put it up here and glued it in and fashioned it somehow, and then it's kind of going the right direction. I mean, it's really just, I don't expect somebody to carry it around, but they could. I'll certainly glue it down like, like it will hold it. But that way it looks kind of like a little purse or a little bag from this direction. So that might be kind of cool. So anyway, I still need to do my sew in my signature. So I've just got this stuff here, and of course that's February, so the next page in that book would be March. So that is supposed to be clovers for March. Anyway, so I've got all this going on, so I'm going to put that in here, and then I've just been digging around trying to find some more things to use. Like, suppose this is going to be a folio that you're going to keep stationery in for sending out Valentines, or you're going to keep Valentines that you've received. So I was digging around in a bunch of different stuff, and this is actually why I found that stationery, is because I was digging around in some old postcards that I have, and this is in that stash, this is the only postcard that I have that's a Valentine one. All the rest that I had in there were either travel, like Tennessee, or those kind of where the letters are big, Tennessee, Nashville. I don't know why I have those in there, but they were just part of a group of things that I bought somewhere. And but this was the only Valentine, and the rest were birthdays. So, but I don't really like this for this. This is great, and I love it, and I collect postcards, mostly ones with pansies on them. That's a whole nother story. But anyway, I found this one, but I don't think it's really appropriate for the color scheme that I'm trying to do here. It might work, but I don't know. It's really not what I'm thinking about. But isn't this cool? It's postmarked 1909 in, I think it says Prisonburg, Virginia. This is, no, it doesn't. I thought it said Prisonburg. It says Harrisburg, because it's Harrisburg right there. Harrisburg, Virginia. First I thought, is that a P, and that's a but no, that's an R. Never mind. Anyway, so this was somebody's Valentine, and it went to Miss Bernice Moore in Harrisburg in 1909, and it was mailed or received February 12th at the post office. And it just says, guess who? So I don't know. Somebody was doing a real Valentine, like a secret Valentine. Anyway, whatever. I'm not using it. So that's over there. But I found like this card. I have a bunch of these kind of Victorian looking. Man, that's glossy. I have that. I have this one still. I don't know. It's kind of yellow, but it could work. I have this, and this is a greeting card, but I don't know. It's somebody, there's like, I don't know what that is. It's like, I don't know if it's glue or if it's wax, but anyway, somebody dribbled stuff on it, and they tore some things off of it. So I don't know, but I thought maybe I could cut around it and use something out of it. So we'll see. Maybe that. This is another gift bag that I had taken apart a while back. I thought the colors were kind of pretty, and it is in keeping with the red that I'm trying to accomplish here. So there's hearts and stuff. It almost looks like, it kind of reminds me of Pennsylvania Dutch. I don't know. I don't remember if there was a theme to the bag or if it was just this, but this is what I have left over from it. I think this was part of it. Anyway, there's that. And then I did start working on um, some other little ditties that I had. So somebody gave me an Beauty, Ulta Beauty gift card for Christmas, and this was laying on the desk, and I thought, well, this is in the pinks and reds that I'm looking for. So why not just make it a Valentine? So I covered up where it said to and from and all that stuff there. And then this is where the card was. So I just made a little card right there out of all these leftover papers that I had. And I covered, so that fits in there. I covered this because it said Ulta back there. And I used this because it was a scrap left over from this piece that I thought I would make the cover. That's the other side of it. But I thought I'd make this the cover and then put this little guy here. I had these little, I don't know, a bunch of them were too pink or too something, but I tried to find ones that had red, so it's kind of part of this bunch of little bits that I found, little banners and things. Anyway, it said Be Mine, which I thought would be appropriate because I have bee paper in here. So anyway, I don't know. So I've got to get that kind of put together. And then I've got this. So all this paper that, like this paper and the bee stuff inside that, these are all these, see if I have do I have a cover? Yeah, hang on. So it's this stuff that I was telling you that I got at Ollie's, and it was closeout from Joanne. And it's the DCWV. I guess that's the way you say it. I don't know if it's DWCV, but I think it's DCWV. Anyway, this was just one of those 6x6 pads, and yeah, there's, see, like they're double sided, and they're just, they're pretty little pages. And I have a ton of them, so I've been trying to kind of use them up. But anyway, so I thought, well, I'll just use some of these things. So I've got this little guy, and it's just simply a little card. And this was part of this set of things that I found, and it said, I've got a crush on you. So I just glued it down here. So I've got that. And then I've got this one that's blank. And these were just, I'm just trying to use up like cut downs and different things. I had sort of I guess I had stained some of my cards, but I didn't really rough them up. So they're still a little glossy, but they're definitely stained. And then I went and inked this. But I have all these cute little kind of 40s, 50s, there may be some kind of 60s styles, cute little girls in this set of stuff. I want to say, I just recently got this set, and the packaging, I'm thinking that maybe it came from Timu, or however you say that. I've never actually ordered anything from them. Every time I think I'm gonna, when I open up, the website or whatever, it feels weird to me. I always feel like my my information's going to be stolen, or so. I don't know. It just seems sketch to me. So I never really have ordered anything from them. So, but I bought this stuff recently, and I think a bunch of it was from there. So I think that's where that came from. But anyway, and here's a piece of that card that I used that I was griping about earlier. I had, I tore it down to a fairly decent size. So I had some pieces left over. So that's from that. So I thought I could use that. And here's a little card that I found, just a little for you. It looks like a gift, a gift card, but whatever. And then I did end up using this Well, this one's from Lowe's, but anyway, this paint swatch situation that has these holes in it, and I just had all these scraps. So, and these, I still have a ton of, well, not a ton, but several um, hearts that I had punched out. But anyway, so I've got that. But what these are is the back side of this, and I took a bunch of stickers, flower stickers, and sort of made myself a little garden like these are coming up from a planter box. I don't know, whatever, but I just thought it was neat. And it fits perfectly. It'll fit in here just fine somewhere in one of the pockets. And then I've got these that I found when I was digging around for some stuff, and they're not horrible. They're kind of muted. They're a little peachy and not quite so pinky, but they might work in here. So I'm going to see about that. And then we've been digging out and cleaning out for the last couple of weeks, after Christmas and the New Year, and you're like, I got to clean things out. And we've been digging around in all our electronic stuff and like getting rid of and selling on Facebook Marketplace, like old iPads, an old computer, an old cell phone, just different little Apple TVs and Amazon old puck style dots or whatever they call them now. Anyway, I found my sweet little iPod Shuffle that my sons gave me years ago, and it's seen its day. But anyway, it was in a drawer, and so we tried to charge it, but it evidently isn't going to hold a charge. So we tried, we charged it several times, but it's just not doing it. But how cute would this be? I mean, since it's no longer really any good for anything, how cute would it be for like a little, um, like a little clip on something like this? Maybe not this one. This one's kind of, that might not be quite the colors we're looking for, but anyway, who cares? It's not, I mean, it's a little bit sentimental to me, but the boys would be like, just get rid of it. Why would you want to keep something like that? You have a phone, you have AirPods, you have, but anyway, it's just kind of neat. So, yeah, and I think I've got some other things. One phone didn't like work out, and we ended up taking it apart, an older iPhone. And when I got to looking at the insides of it, I'm like, that would be cool art. That could be some cool mixed media stuff. So anyway, we'll see if that comes to fruition and I end up making something out of it. But I'm going to get busy and put some things together and sew my signature in and decide what I'm doing with this handle. And hopefully this is going to be done soon and I can move on to something else and new. Okay, new day. Here's where we ended up this, I think I like it. This looks pretty good. I ended up using, and I've got a big sweater on because it's just freezing this morning. I ended up using some string that I had some red, and I used that for my sewing of my signature. I sewed my signature with this red, and then I used the red and the pink. This, I don't know, I just wasn't into that. I used it on something else the other day though, but I used the red and the pink for my enclosure right here. So that's this. So we got that. So I went ahead and just, so it wouldn't get all crazy and out of place, I've got it tucked underneath my spine sewing here, and then tied a couple of knots underneath my enclosure little dot guy. So it just goes around. I can keep it from getting all tangled up. Just goes around, and then I can tie it around that. So here's what we ended up with inside. Okay, so I just stuck a bunch of those little cards and different things that I made in here. I've got that one. I've got that one that I didn't really do anything to other than ink. And I did go ahead and stick this one in there. So that one. I mean, it's just really a compilation of, different items that can go in here that are either things that you've received or things you intend to give away, or maybe they're just fun things you want to keep. So those are in there. Here's my little Ulta gift card, Be Mine, and it's got the cute little bee stuff going on. And there's that. But you could stick anything you wanted to in there, or just write something on there if you wanted to give it away. So I've got all that in this front pocket. Then in this kind of short pocket back here, I've got my little card with my cute little girl, and I've got this little bitty card that it's just like a little gift card. So I've got that. And then I could glue this down and kind of make it a bit of a pocket and slide things in there, but whatever. I mean, it's just a matter of how do you want to use it, Maybe you want to flip it out and actually write stuff down right here. And then lots of good blank space for journaling or, writing down ideas or poems or whatever you want. So this ended up being the center. And I used this yummy, good notebook paper that's been stained. And so here's my string in the middle. And I just sewed, the three hole method. And then I left myself enough string to just add some cute little beads. Just, they're from the dollar store. They're just easy to use. And one little tiny little key that's got a little heart on it. It's a little heart key, so made that part of that. Used one of those cute little cutouts, cutie pie, and then all that is blank and good for writing in or adding things to. And there's the other end of this calendar. And then, so I forgot to show you that I had this pocket laying out here that I had just folded up real quick and inked up, and then it's got a pocket back here. It's got a pocket, actually two pockets in here if you want to count them, and a pocket or a tuck, I guess you could say, here and in here. And there's where that little key cutout ended up. So, and this was that, excuse me, this was that card that was kind of yucked up. I don't know what, I'm still not sure what was on it, but it may be glue. It was glue or something. But I cut off the parts that were undesirable and made sort of a little bookmark or tag or whatever you want to call it. And it, it's talks about it being a Hallmark card on the back and all that good stuff. And I don't care. You could even journal on there if you wanted to. So we've got that. And I just had this little free-floating little circle punch situation here, and tied off with some embroidery thread. Made that, and then these were the other little pieces that were left over from cutting that up, and I thought, well, you know what, we're going to use those for something. So this just goes in here, and that can go right there, and this one can go here, and doesn't matter, or this one can go back here, however you want to do it. Anyway, and then in here are the larger format cards that I had just laying around. So here's that one. I didn't do anything to it. I didn't round the edges. I didn't ink it. You know, it can be whatever, and I don't know what 12 means, but who knows. And then there's my little paint swatch. I thought that was kind of fun, doing the little garden in the back. And then I did stick these little, they're not, they're cardstock. They're not super thick, but I don't know, just kind of cute little note card situation. And then one of these kind of busy looking Valentine or whatever. It doesn't scream Valentine's, but it's good for this application, I suppose. So stuck this back here. I didn't stick any of the envelopes in here, so but I could, so that in case you wanted to, you know, mail something out. But some of those things don't have envelopes. So, and then the back I always leave kind of plain. So anyway, oh, and I did go back and glue the, oh, it's not glued. I got to go back. I got to go back and finish gluing it. It didn't stay. That's why I was waiting to do this, to finish this up this morning, because I was waiting for that glue to dry, but it didn't work. But this side did. So anyway, I've got to go back and fix that. But I think that's a pretty cute little addition, is just having that extra bit of handle there. So anyway, I got to fix that. But otherwise, that's how it came out, and I'm very happy with it. And I don't know what I'm going to do with it. Maybe I'm going to give it to somebody. Maybe I'm going to sell it. I don't know. But anyway, I liked it. So thank you for tagging along, and I will see you in the next video.